Good morning, my functional family. We are going to have a module today about sleep. Sleep is an incredibly important thing. That restoration of our body is something that needs to happen on a daily basis. So every night we go to bed to improve our health in our brains, in our bodies, psychologically. All these things happen at night. So let's talk about how we can do this better. So, first things first, how much sleep do you need each night? Well, it's recommended you have 7 to 9 hours of sleep every night. And that's just not time in bed. That would be optimal if you could actually be asleep at that time. Okay, so sleep is important. Getting enough sleep that we talked about in the last slide is important, 7 to 9 hours of sleep. But if we don't get enough sleep, what happens? Well, we can be extremely fatigued. It's kind of makes common sense. Don't get enough sleep, we feel fatigued. We also have increased stress levels. And what that means is our cortisol levels go up, not just in the morning like they're supposed to, but they go up through the whole day. And we don't want to increase cortisol levels through the day because that decreases our production of melatonin, and we need melatonin in the evening to be able to fall asleep. So also decreased sleep reduces your attention span. It also decreases cognitive performance. So there's 3 stages sleep. One is light sleep, one is deep sleep, and the other is going to be REM sleep. And the REM sleep is called rapid eye movement. And this is a time when your body is sleeping, and it's a processing time where you're taking all the memories you had from the day and all the things that happened in the day, and the body processes them and puts them in the correct places in the brain, kind of like filing all the memories and the experiences that happened through the day. So if you're not getting enough sleep through the night, no matter what you try, you're just not getting your 7 to 9 hours sleep. Is napping helpful? Or is napping helpful even if you do get enough sleep? Yes, napping is helpful. So we can accumulate hours of sleep by adding napping to our sleep. So for whoever's not getting that amount of time that they need, it is okay to nap. So what are the benefits? It combats sleeping deprivation, so it increases your overall hours. We're going to be talking about the nap quality and length here in just a second, but and let's just dive right into actually 10 to 20 minutes of napping. What are the benefits? It reduces sleepiness, improves cognitive performance, increases alertness, attention, and energy levels. It improves your mood, it improves motor performance, and it reduces stress levels. So just a power nap, 10 to 20 minutes, is a fantastic thing. And research has shown that it is a healthy thing to do to improve your sleep amount, but also improve a lot of psychological and physical benefits. Moving forward to the 30 to 60 minute nap duration, it's going to sharpen decision-making skills, it's going to improve memorization and recall, and it's going to improve memory preservation. And lastly, the 60 to 90 minute nap benefits. For this length of time, you're going to move into something called rapid eye movement, which we just went over just 2 slides ago. It's called REM sleep, and that helps your brain to start processing your memories and intake that you've had for that day, which is very helpful for cognitive benefits. So it's critical for problem solving, and it helps make new connections in the brain. It enhances creativity, reduces negative reactivity, and promotes happiness. So how to improve your sleep? We need to minimize alcohol, actually get rid of alcohol. There are studies that say 1 to 2 drinks a day is healthy, especially like red wine. But again, before bed, no alcohol. So probably at least 3 hours before bed, no alcohol. Alcohol, what it does is it really limits, it changes your sleep cycles throughout the night, and towards your later sleep cycles, you get really restless and you decrease in deep sleep. So alcohol is not a good thing to drink before bed. If you want to avoid caffeine, stop your caffeine intake about 2 p.m. We don't want any stimulants before you go to bed. Medications sometimes can create problems with sleep, so timing of medications may be switched and adjusted. And you don't want to exercise past 7 p.m. So we don't want to increase our body temperature because we want to keep our body temperature, or we want to start to decrease our body temperature as we get ready for bed and then while we're in bed. So don't raise your body temperature by exercising before you go to bed. Moving on to improving your sleep, you don't want to watch TV before you go to bed, or at least stop watching TV 1 to 2 hours before you go to bed. There's a lot of blue light that comes from the TV, which can be a stimulant to your brain. Also, there's a lot of things that, like on TV, that can stimulate you, like if you're watching a show that's kind of a stressful show, maybe an action show or something like that. We just don't want that stimulant before we go to bed. And don't do activities that may be kind of stressful before you go to bed. Again, we're trying to relax our body into sleep. So my example here is paying your bills. Just don't do things that are stressful. And if you're going to work on relationship type of activities, maybe not in bed while you're trying to go to sleep. Try to do that all a couple hours before you go to bed. We want the bed to be a relaxing, calming time. So when we go to bed, it's impossible just to make ourselves fall asleep. So what we want to do is we want to create headspace to be able to fall asleep. So one of the things is just, don't start worrying about falling asleep. Don't start judging yourself because you can't fall asleep. Don't do any of that. That's just not a good thing to do to help promote going to sleep. But a better thing is to use positive self-affirmations. So like, I can relax, I can fall asleep. Start talking like that to yourself a little bit more. And another thing you can do is, if you have this constant negative thought process or pattern you have at night, sometimes maybe write those down and journal those out before you go to bed so you can just get them out of your head. So again, when we're in bed, we don't want to be having a lot of conversations in our head. We don't want to think about what we didn't do or what we need to do the next day, or we don't want to be critical of ourselves. What we want to do is we just want to focus on calming our brains down. So when we're going to bed, again, like I just said, we want to try to calm everything down. So, if there are concerns of the day, maybe if you, like I said, journal those down. Really, if you're worried about what you didn't get done and what you have to do the next day, just spend a few minutes and write out your to-do list for tomorrow. That'll just cue you of the things that you need to do tomorrow, so you don't have to take that to bed with you. And so those are some things we just want to calm our minds, try to declutter our brains so we don't have to think about things we did do, that kind of thing. And then you need to have maybe this relaxing ritual you do every night. So it may be something as simple as doing the same thing, like brushing your teeth and flossing, and then washing your face, or taking an evening shower, or maybe even sauning in the evening. Those type of things, but create this ritual you do every night, because that tells your body it's time to go to sleep. So we need to have scheduled sleep. We need to have a scheduled sleep pattern where we go to bed at the same time every night and we get up every morning at the same time. It's important for our hormonal systems in our body. When we get on the schedule, then our hormones know when to activate, that type of thing. So, create this 10 o'clock, 5 o'clock schedule, this 7 to 9 hour schedule, but just keep it consistent. And then another thing, just make sure that each night, we talked about this in the previous slide, that you have a ritual you do every night, because that just cues your body in that it's time to go to sleep. So just have the same ritual every night, and your body will say, oh, yep, I recognize this. It's time to go to bed. It's time for us to go to sleep. And like I talked about on the bedtime schedule, we need to be consistent with that. And it's really best to go to bed earlier, like 9 p.m. is probably the best time to start to get into bed. Most of our deep sleep happens early in our sleep schedule. So if we go to bed at 9, there's more time to have deep sleep. Normally, if you go to bed 11 to 12 o'clock, what we end up missing out is on our deep sleep. So we just want to make sure we try to get in bed as early as possible. We don't want to take naps later, in the afternoon or into the evening, because that could change our sleep schedule and throw it off. And we do not want to eat meals before we go to bed. So we want to stop eating at 7 p.m. If you do have, if you're diabetic or you have hypoglycemic type of problems, if you have a small protein snack before you go to bed, that can balance out your glucose levels in your body through the evening into the night, and that may help you sleep. Sometimes when our glucose levels drop really low, about 2 to 3 p.m., that can cause us to wake up, and by having a little bit of protein before we go to bed can balance that time out. So again, just to repeat, eating, we want to stop eating 3 hours before bedtime. So I normally say 7 p.m. is the cutoff time. And I normally say 7 p.m. is the cutoff time for drinking too. But if you have a little bit of water before you go to bed, that's still okay. We just don't want to drink a lot, because that may facilitate us getting up at night to use the bathroom. And having like a relaxation time each night, whether that be meditation, whether it be taking a hot bath, whether that be a nice calming book, something like that. We just want to have this relaxation time right before we go to bed. That'll calm our minds and calm our bodies and help us to prepare for a good night's sleep. So now you're in bed and you can't fall asleep, or let's say maybe you wake up and you can't get back to sleep. What should we do? Well, meditation is a really good thing to do. And there's a couple different ways to meditate while you're in bed. So a breathing meditation is really good. So breathing in, let's just say for 5 seconds, and then breathing out for 10 seconds. What that does is increase your parasympathetic nervous system, which calms you down and makes you sleepy. So breathing meditation is very good for you. So try doing that, or even counting your breaths too. Sometimes that can make you focus on just the counting instead of thinking about not falling asleep or about other things that are happening, that you're thinking about. Also progressive relaxation, where you just slightly tense your body up and then you relax your body. That'll also increase parasympathetic activity, which will relax your body. Or doing positive imagery, maybe putting yourself on a beach or someplace that you find fun and relaxing. Also, reading's good, but you want to make sure you have a very low light lamp that you're reading with, and make sure the book is kind of a relaxing book and it's not like a thriller or anything like that can get you excited. So if you're going to use a device in bed to do your reading, just to try to calm your mind down, just make sure it's at the lowest brightness. And sometimes our devices have a blue light blocking screen, and just look in your settings to see if you can turn that on. Again, if your thoughts are going crazy, you can write those down in a journal just to try to get them out of your brain, or you can just change your focus by just going into a breathing meditation. If you are going to use lighting and do some reading just with a regular book, make sure it's an ambient light or it's a blue blocking light. Now, to create an environment to sleep in, it's important that we reduce light exposure. So we want to make the room as dark as possible. And also, you can use something called amber glasses. Well, what they do is they block out blue light, and blue light is a stimulating light that happens at sunrise, which is happening behind me right now. But it's a blue light that happens during sunrise to stimulate our nervous system to wake up, and that sets the circadian rhythm. So it's a stimulating light. So we want a yellow light in the evening, and when you wear these amber glasses, that's exactly what it does. It blocks these blue light exposures. Another thing you can do is use blackout shades, or just definitely use dark window shades just to make that dark environment in your room. Just decrease the noise that's in your room. So you can use earplugs, or make sure you're closing windows. I mean, if there's noise outside that's keeping you awake, or use a white noise generator, which you can buy those very cheaply on Amazon, or you can use a HEPA air filter. That's what I use. It makes a nice white noise, and it's very calming to me. But so maybe use some type of noise, white noise, just to try to block out all the other noises. And if you need to, if there's appliances that make noise that maybe could keep you up or wake you up every once in a while, maybe just, if you can, turn those off just to decrease overall noise in the room. You should sleep with the room pretty cool. So what is that coolness? What does the research say? Between 60 and 67 degrees is the temperature your room should be. I mean, that varies person to person, but that's the general research consensus. Also, EMF, which is just an electromagnetic field that is produced by your phones, by outlets, by different devices. You want to make sure those are removed from, or they're at least 8 foot from your head. So make sure you move, especially your phone and computers and monitors and all that stuff. Move those 8 feet away from your sleeping space, and avoid electric blankets. So let's talk a little bit about bedding and pillows. So consider replacing your pillows with hypoallergenic pillows. They're just a little healthier. They'll release a little less toxin from plastics and stuff within the pillow. So that's a good thing to think about. Also, I get a lot of questions about what type of pillows, what the thickness should be, all that type of thing. The most important thing is that your neck and your spine, like the rest of your spine that runs down your whole back, that all needs to be in a straight line. So the thickness of your pillow or the type of pillow, all you need to really know is that as long as the pillow keeps your head in the same line with your spine, that's the most important thing. And also using like hypoallergenic pillow covers and covers for your bed. Those are very helpful too, just to decrease toxic exposure from the different chemicals that are being released from your bed. And also, if you're a side sleeper, you can consider using a side sleeper pillow, and that just helps support your back, and it helps support your neck, and it's a lot of people prefer that slide sleeper pillow. Okay, so talking about the body pillow again, the side sleeper body pillow, it's really good for sleeping posture because it aligns your spine in a fairly neutral position. It also decreases compression on your low back because there's no twisting that happens through your pelvis. It also helps alignment, of course, with your neck, and so it's a really good alternative to help with your sleep posture. Also, you want to pick bed linens that have a very high thread count, about 200 to 400. There are some sleep aids that are helpful for the evening. Again, we want to use these just as a supplement. It'd be better to not necessarily use these in the evening to become reliant on them, but they are helpful. Especially magnesium is probably something that everybody should be taking, 200 to 400 milligrams at night. But we have something called melatonin, which our body naturally produces, and we can supplement with that. We just don't want to become dependent on it. Also, there's hydroxytryptophan, which is that tryptophan that when you're having your Thanksgiving meal and you're eating your turkey, which has a lot of tryptophan, and you get kind of sleepy from that. So it's kind of the same. That is the same thing. So 100 to 200 milligrams an hour before bedtime is helpful. Taurine, 500 to 2,000 milligrams 1 hour before bed is also helpful. So these are some sleep aids that will help you. It's just good to try to do this on your own without any sleep aids, because we just don't want to become dependent. But if you need to, these are some good ones to use. So some herbal supplements that can help with sleep. You can also use ashwagandha, phosphorylate serine, lactum casein, desipeptide, and L-theanine. Those are good supplements just to help with going to sleep and getting your body in the restful state. You can also use herbal teas, and so those are helpful too. So there's an important thing each morning that you need to do, and that's get morning light exposure. The light exposure in the morning, as soon as you get up, what that creates, it sets your circadian rhythm, which then sets your hormonal system. So when you get up in the morning, you want to get that morning light exposure. What that's going to do is it's going to tell your nervous system, I'm up, I'm ready to go, let's get the day started. And what that does is that sets your hormonal system going, so that increases your cortisol level, which increases your metabolism, and that slowly depletes, throughout the day. Like at 2 o'clock, it gets really low. It's supposed to, and then your melatonin starts to increase. So, and that whole hormonal system is started by morning light exposure. So, in Michigan or in the northern states, we don't get light early in the morning. So what do? Well, you want to go and if you buy a 1,000 lux bright light, you can use that on a countertop. Maybe you're doing your gratitude journaling, or you're doing your prayers, or something like that. You can have that on the side and shining into your eyes, and this will start this whole circadian rhythm. So it's a good thing to purchase, especially in the wintertime when we don't get that early morning exposure. So something to think about. They're not that expensive, maybe under $40, but a good thing to start that whole circadian rhythm and get your day in this rhythm that'll help you sleep in the evening. So there's an overview of different things you can do to help sleep, what times you should sleep, how much you should sleep, different parts of sleep. So I hope this is beneficial, and I'll talk to you in the next module.